Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the public forum by Control Union Philippines Academy, which is the training arm of Control Union Philippines. So Control Union is a Dutch company established in 1920. So in fact, last year, we were celebrating our 100 years of existence. And right now, we are spread all around the globe in more than 70 countries, offering various different services, which hopefully we'll be introducing you later in this session.
Yes, right, Sunera. CU Philippine Academy has been organizing a number of different public training sessions. Then today, we mark the fourth episode of this public forum.
My name is Suner Vikramarachi.
And my name is Macmellan Revela.
So how are you, Mackie?
I'm doing fine, Sunera. So, it's pandemic now. So I think all of us are having a hard time coping this pandemic or this crisis. But for us auditors, compliance is a must. So we are still doing both remote audits and the on-site audits. So how about you?
Yeah, for me also, pandemic has been affecting every one of us, but we have to continue offering our services. So with, of course, the assistance of the accreditation bodies and the standard setters, like we are being also trying new different ways like remote auditing techniques. So life should go on somehow, right?
Yes, exactly.
So Mackie, we are surrounded by fruits, right?
Yes, we have
The
the famous
banana,
mangoes,
there's Cavendish, Cebu, Mackie.
vegetables. Yes.
Why all these fruits?
Sunera, Mindanao is the fruit basket of the Philippines. So we have the ideal climate, the productive soil, even the people we have, the hardworking farmers we have.
Yeah, so as your trusted partner in international certification, so Control also indirectly contributes to introduce this fruit legacy of Philippines to the world. So probably through standardization.
That is why we are going to talk today about one of the world renowned sustainable agriculture standards, which is the GlobalGAP, or Good Agricultural Practices.
All right, today with us, we have the representation from Filipino Banana Growers and Exporters Association, as well as one of our colleagues, Control Union colleagues from Sri Lanka is also joining us today. So let me introduce our participants first. It's Sir Stephen Antic, who's the Executive Director from Filipino Banana Growers and Exporters Association, as well as Kaushalya Rajapaksha, who's a certifier for GlobalGAP programs, who's joining us from Control Union Sri Lanka.
And Sunera and I will be your moderators of this session. So at the end of the program, we'll try to answer all of the questions you raised as comments in this FB session. And you can also comment down your name of your organizations or companies and the address for us to know or to recognize you as our attendees for this morning.
Okay, Sir Antic, what made Philippines one of the largest and definitely the best quality banana producers in the world?
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me to this public forum, Sonera. Well,
Yes.
basically, it takes rich soil, relatively good year-round climate, and plenty of hard work to produce the best quality bananas in the world. Now, fortunately, Mindanao provinces are blessed with all of these endowments. Hence, export quality bananas are mostly grown in 15 provinces of the southern part of the country. On top of that, we have been in the business for more than 50 years, and you can say that we have mastered the art of growing bananas, thus producing world quality, best Cavendish exportable bananas.
All right. But how this pandemic has affected the overall banana production in Philippines and especially maybe the PBGEA activities?
Well, last year, production dropped by 20%, and this year, the production went down by 46%. But I will not attribute all of this reduction to the pandemic, no? Because aside from the pandemic, or even before the pandemic broke out, we already have the Panama disease or the TR4, which actually have devastated more than 20% of our areas of production. And because of that, the volume went down, and so does the value of the export.
Yes.
Right.
So it's unfortunate to hear after we had the pandemic and the TR4. So, by the way, sir, could you tell us something about more about the history of PBGEA, the when and the how PBGEA was established, sir?
Well, PBGEA was organized in 1974, but formally registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission May 18, 1976. PBGEA is composed of 25 member companies, all producing and exporting world-class Cavendish banana, because you cannot be a member of PBGEA unless you're a producer and exporter at the same time. We actually discourage membership of traders, purely traders. The reason why PBGEA was organized was because we realized that we cannot be competing all the time. We also have to cooperate in order to push further the growth and development of the banana industry and to ensure the survival. And we also realize that we have to cooperate in terms of research and development, and most especially in lobbying with the government for policies that will help and further ensure our sustainability.
Okay, so as you mentioned, sir, that you have 25 members. So who are these members, sir? And I think you already mentioned, so what is the role of PBGEA in uplifting the banana industry in the Philippines, sir?
Well, as I said, the major role of PBGEA is aside from fostering camaraderie among the members, is to ensure that we get the passage of policies that will help further the growth and development of this industry, which has actually helped uplift the economic condition of a large part of Mindanao.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for your thoughts. I'd like to ask a question from Kaushalya. So how the international certification marks like GlobalGAP can streamline and promote the fruit industry, especially these banana and pineapple-like fruits in Philippines? Kaushalya?
Yes, Sunara. Thank you for inviting me for this forum. And well, actually, when a consumer select a product from the market, so he or she will basically look for the product quality. So quality in the sense the color of the product, size or the maturity. So and also they are worried about the safety of the product. So color, size, like parameters we can see, we can just observe and decide whether it will fit with our requirements. But in terms of safety, we cannot just judge on the product safety by just looking at the product or just touching the product. So there we as consumers trust the seller or the producer. So so we trust that whoever who sell the product or whoever will who give the product will give us a safe product. So that is the place where quality certifications come into the place. So quality standards, quality certifications give a third party assurance to our products. So when the recognition of these standards are high, so the higher the markets that the farmer or seller can place their products, because the recognition is, if the recognition is globally, so the market is global for the producers or the sellers. So GlobalGAP is one of the most popular standard which is assuring the product quality from the farm at the moment. So according to the latest figures, statistics from the GlobalGAP, now they say that over 206,000 producers from over 136 countries are under GlobalGAP certification. So that shows the recognition to the GlobalGAP has at the moment. And over 600 products from crop scope, livestock scope, and aquaculture scope can be certified under this GlobalGAP program. And the other important thing is there are many major large-scale producers, retailers, and supermarket companies, those who are in food supply chain, are hand in hand with GlobalGAP. So they have over 440 voluntary memberships in their community. And they have three main products: Local Gap, Global Gap, and Global Gap Plus. I can explain the programs and the standards under each of these main products in this slide. You can see those products. Like under Global Gap program, we can certify all crops, crop products, livestock products, and aquaculture products. And also there are specific standards which gives the compliance to the producers to meet the specific requirements in USA market. And there is another standard for the producers who sell their products to further processing. So, and there is chain of custody. Likewise, there are many standards that producers and the traders and the processors can have for to show their quality or the production processes. And the Global Gap Plus is something like the additional requirements which producers can have on top of their Global Gap standards. And Local Gap is the stepping stone for the producers to enter into the global market. And in next slide, you can see the shares of the certified producers from all over the world. So you can see the majority of the certified producers are coming from Europe. It's 59.29%. And Asia, we have only 8.82% of certified producers. So, but the demand for the Global Gap products are coming up. So there will be more and more certified producers from Asia as well in coming years. So this Global Gap standard gives a modular approach to the standard. So this shows the modules that Global Gap has divided their good requirements of good agricultural practices in their standards. So they have all farm-based module. That module contains the requirements which all crop producers, aquaculture producers, and livestock producers should meet. And then the next level is scope level, crop-based level, aquaculture level, and livestock-based level. And next level is sub-scope level. So under sub-scopes, you can see there are several subcategories under each scope. So for banana, we have to comply with the requirements in fruit and vegetable subscope. So that is the modular approach that the Global Gap has given in their Global Gap Integrated Farm Assurance Standard. And now your question was how the producers can streamline their products in the market supply chain. So here you can see the reasons why we go into Global Gap certification. As I explained earlier, having a Global Gap certificate will reduce your exposure to food safety and product safety reputational risks, as the standard itself is demanding to comply with the local regulations, and also it is mainly concerned about the product safety in terms of microbial quality, microbial hazards, chemical hazards, allergens, and also MRL issues as well. So if you are, as a producer, if you are complied with the Global Gap requirement, it will definitely reduce your risk to expose food safety and product safety reputational risks. And all the GlobalGAP certified producers are registered in a public website, GlobalGAP, we call it as GlobalGAP database. So there's a database for GlobalGAP certified producers. So all the public can access to that GlobalGAP database, and also the market participants of, the members of the GlobalGAP can see the certified producers from that website. So if you are certified, means you are exposed to a huge market through this GlobalGAP database. And it will also help to improve the efficiency of your farm management, because it requires, by the standard itself, it requires for the producers to establish recording systems, management systems and all. So it will definitely improve the efficiency of your farm management, and it will save costs by reducing the number of on-farm audits. That is in terms of if the producers are having multiple products, we can have the audits for those multiple products at once. So it will reduce the number of audits that you have to take to certify all your products for. So by that you can save costs by reducing the number of on-farm audits. And in next slide, now we can see it will also help to comply with legislation on food safety, environmental protection, and workers' health and safety with an easy HACCP system to put into place. So in HACCP, we have a risk-based approach. So in GlobalGAP certification program also, there is a risk-based approach. So the producers should analyze the risks they have in their farm, and then have to take necessary mitigation actions. And also benefit from global recognition with adaptation to local conditions through GlobalGAP network of national technical working groups. So there are over 48 national technical working groups from different countries are working and giving inputs to update the standard, and also will give suggestions to meet specific requirements of each countries and markets. So you can have that benefit. And not only Control Union, there are many other accredited certification bodies are working with GlobalGAP. So the producers have their freedom to choose any accredited certification body to have their certifications. And also all the GlobalGAP standards supporting documents are available in their website. So those are free for anyone. So anyone can download those documents free of charge. So, and also they are in multiple languages. So producers can download the documents as they want in any language. There are many languages. And also secure access to financing and to capital markets. So you can have certified producers can have the benefit from connecting to an innovative supply chain solutions, because the standard is updating frequently. At least once in 4 years, the standard is updated to meet the latest trends and the needs of the food trade. And also it helps to shape the continuing development of our standards through public consultation, where whenever they are going to publish a new version of the standard, they always look for the public consultation, and they go field trials before publishing the standards. So it will always, the GlobalGAP will publish a standard which is more consumer or not the consumer, producer friendly, and demonstrate compliance with the United Nations Global Compact Food and Agribusiness Principles. So they have different standards to meet the USA requirements. So if you cater into the USA market, you can select those standards. And certified producers can benchmark yourself as part of the world's most widespread farm assurance standards. As I explained earlier, over 200,000 producers are now certified. So, and also they have a benchmarking scheme. So if the producers or the producer groups have their own standards, good agricultural practices standards, they can benchmark their standard with GlobalGAP. And finally, it is designed for the farmers and the retailers, manufacturers and producers with good agricultural practices expertise work together to create the standards, and so it's a great benefit for the producers. And now the GlobalGAP has given two different certification options for the producers to go into the GlobalGAP certification program. So either as an individual producer or as a producer group, they can obtain GlobalGAP certification. So for the large-scale producers or financially established producers can register for certification as an individual producer. So that the standard call it as option 1, single producer certification. In there, even the producer is having multiple sites, they can register as a producer, individual producer with multiple sites, and they have an option. If the producer wants to establish a quality management system to manage their multiple sites, so those producers can register under option 1, multi-site with the implementation of a QMS. So through the quality management system, the producers can manage all the sites in a uniform manner. That is the main function of the quality management system. And the second option is option 2, producer group option. So this will be a cost-effective method for small-scale producers. So the small-scale producers can flock together and form a farmer community or a farmer group, or they can couple with the exporting company and to form a farmer group, producer group, and as a group they can apply for GlobalGAP certification. So under this certification option, only one certificate will be issued for the farmer group, but all the members will be listed as certified producers in the certificate annex. And in this case, a quality management system is mandatory. So through the quality management system, the producer group has to manage all the members in the group in a uniform manner to comply with the GlobalGAP certification requirements. And now I was telling about the GlobalGAP integrated farm assurance standard in previous slide, and another standard that we have from this GlobalGAP is chain of custody. So that is to ensure the traceability from farm to the market shelf. So all the packers, traders, retailers, and any other intermediate parties who are in the supply chain of GlobalGAP certified products can get this chain of custody. Actually, any of the party in the supply chain cannot claim a GlobalGAP certified product, any product as a GlobalGAP certified product if they don't have a chain of custody certificate, because this chain of custody certificate is the one that assures the traceability or the traceability of the or the integrity of the GlobalGAP certified products throughout the supply chain. And And the other option is local gap. Now this, as I stated earlier as well, now this local gap is the stepping stone for global gap. Now global gap standard is having more little bit advanced requirements to meet the requirements of the global market. And in this local gap standard, the requirements are a little bit low demanding than the global gap. So if anyone feels like it's a bit difficult to meet the global gap requirement at the first stage, they can just first go to local gap and practice it, and then with that experience, they can move on to the global gap. So that option is also there from this global gap. And now when the producers are catering to different markets from all over the world, there can be different requirements from different supermarket chains or markets. So as a solution for that, GlobalGAP has introduced several add-ons. Those add-ons are additional requirements for the GlobalGAP certified producers to meet customized requirements from the retailers or the supermarkets. So the most popular or the important add-ons for banana producers are this GRASP and TR4 add-on. GRASP is Global Risk Assessment on Social Practices, so that is more towards the social compliance. And the TR4 is about the Panama disease. So now you can see this TR4 is an add-on. Actually, it is a tool that provides farmers with a risk mitigation plan to prevent the introduction of the TR4 pathogen to their farm, and also it helps to prevent the transmission of the pathogen from their farms to others. So that option is there as a solution which is prevailing now in Philippines, as Mr. Stefan explained. And other than that, now the GlobalGAP products can be labeled with GGN. So GGN label is now published by GlobalGAP. So all the certified products can be labeled with GGN logo. So the consumers can identify the GlobalGAP certified products at the marketplace. So that will be a great advantage for the producers to because now they can show up their compliance to the quality standard at the marketplace, because the consumers are aware by looking at this GGN logo that this is coming from a GlobalGAP certified farm. So that will give the transparency to the certified products which is coming from responsible farming.
Okay, so well explained, Kaushalya. So I think they have these options. So could you give us more on the overview of the specific requirements for these GlobalGAP certifications? As you know, we have the minor mass, the major mass, and the recommendation.
Yes, Mackie. Now this the main standard that we have from GlobalGAP for the farmers are banana farmers are integrated GlobalGAP integrated farm assurance standard. Now we have its version 5.2. So that standard actually is developed based on four main concerns. That is food safety. The main part is food safety. So we have 218 control points in this GlobalGAP standard. So 99 out of that 218 is to assure food safety. And there are 69 control points on environmental concerns, including biodiversity, how to minimize the negative impacts to the environment by doing an agricultural practices. Likewise, there are 69 control points to address on environmental issues. And The other portion is for traceability. So the standard is always to assure the traceability from farm to their next buyer. And the next thing is workers' occupational health and safety. So that standard also cares about how the workers are treated, how the facilities are given to the workers on the farm. And now all these control points are categorized into 3 levels. Major control point, there are major must control points, and there are minor must control points, and there are recommendations. So all the producers should meet 100% compliance with the major must control points, which are very critical to meet all these 4 aspects. And there are minor control points. So those are not mandatory to meet 100% compliance, but there should be 95% compliance to the minor must control points, applicable minor must control points in the standard. So in the next slide, we can see the main areas that we have that the producers should comply with, like food safety, traceability, and the quality assurance. Like producers not only they have to meet their own requirements, but they have to show the quality compliances to their buyers' requirements as well. And workers' occupational health and safety and site management, how the sites are managed in uniform manner, if there are multi-sites, and if there are a recording system, which is very important for the traceability, and to monitor their agronomic practices like pesticide application, fertilizer application like practices, and soil management, that is to make sure that they are applying inputs to soil based on the requirements, not adding excess amounts, and fertilizer application management, like they have to keep records on what are the fertilizers that they have applied and why that was applied, on which basis they have decided to apply this fertilizer, and the integrated pest management, like always the standard is demanding for the producers, encouraging the producers to go for integrated pest management methods rather applying chemicals all over the time. And in case if the producers have to apply plant protection products like pesticides, fungicides, they have to do it in proper manner, like they have to show the compliance to the dosages, pre-harvest intervals that is recommended in the label. And the other thing is water management. What is very critical when come to microbial contaminations. So always the water quality is a major concern in the standard, which is used in pre-harvest practices, and like the water used for irrigation, washing, and pesticide applications. And also it is focused on the responsible water use, like reducing water wastage and to minimize water pollution likewise. So those are the main areas that the producers have to comply in order to have the GlobalGAP certification.
Okay, Kaushal, I think that's a very detailed explanation of the standard requirements. So Maki, you are an experienced auditor. You've been doing organic audits, GlobalGAP audits in different countries as well as in Philippines. So as per your experiences, like what do you found as the positive aspects with the compliance level?
Okay, so I have a lot of things to say, but generally speaking, Sonera, Filipinos are putting so much effort in complying this GlobalGAP standard. So to mention a few of these points, I think first thing I can say is that they have the comprehensive risk assessments, basically updating their farm risk assessments, their remarkable health and safety risk assessments, and other those food safety related risk assessments. Second, also they have the specific management plans. They have the soil management plans and conservation plans, the waste management plans, and the water management plan. And speaking of the waters, also some has water saving facility. So they are saving much water. So it's a part of the requirement for GlobalGAP also. Then also for the planting materials, the propagating materials, usually they own their tissue culture laboratories and the nursery. So everything, these planting materials are controlled and monitored. And in terms of fertilization and IPM, they have a well-studied IPM from their competent people for their research group, as mentioned by Sir Antig, the research and development of PBGEA. Even they have the doctors and even the consultants, outside consultants. So overall, documentation-wise, I think they are good. It's impressive, especially when they are closing, yes, the non-conformities during the audit. So not just by closing these non-conformities, they are also doing the root cause analysis of this, so that they can establish the sufficient corrections and the corrective actions of the requirements.
Okay.
So how about you, Sunera? Since you did a lot of GlobalGAP audits in the Philippines, so could you share could you share something for the negative points, or there's a room for improvement for our producers?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you said correctly, Mackie, like most of the practices that we have seen are like with a good compliance level. That's exactly why most of them are already certified by now, right?
Yes.
But of course, as you said, like there's a room for improvement in any sort of agriculture practice, right? Uh, with the things that I observed, like I would say, like the things related to pesticides, the chemical applications, the fertilizer applications, and handling practices, still there are some things to be improved, especially like maybe the appropriateness of the personal protective equipments that being used, and how suitable they are, and even the usage of first aid, because if you remember, like it's a requirement of the
Yes.
standards to have a first aid box. But if there's a first aid box just next to the chemical mixing place or the storage place, that first aid box also should contain the first aid items to be used in case of accidental contamination of an operator. So activated carbon, or something like related to
Yes.
something like that.
So it should be relevant. First
Exactly,
aid.
exactly. So just having a first aid box will not work. So,
Yes.
so all the activities, all the implementation should make sense, and should be more or less like related to the activities in the farm. And also, like most of the producers that we have seen, like are using subcontractors, right?
The
So-
manpower subcontractors.
Exactly, for different activities. So even if in case someone is using subcontractors, of course, like they just can't, just delegate the task to the subcontractor and just leave it aside. Like they have to still make sure that subcontractors are also complying with the standard requirements. Yeah, and also some things related to waste, and also like I noticed, because there can be a lot of waste produced in banana or pineapple plantations, maybe at the packing operations as well, maybe the crop waste and the other waste. So there should be a very efficient and effective method to collect and dispose these waste items. So that's also something I noted as a thing which can be improved. And also, like as I said in the beginning, maybe the storage conditions, especially of chemicals and fertilizers, it also can always be improved, because there are some strict requirements in the standard that the storage has to be very steadily built, and various different requirements. So these things, I think, always can be improved.
Yeah. So after hearing from Kausalya and from us, so Sir Antig, what is the PBJ's point of view in terms of this standardization? Is it important or doable in our producer sides, sir?
Yeah, I would like to state that most of the importing countries do not actually require global GAP certification, no? But PBJA members, being responsible producers as well as part of our CSR principles, we adhere to global standards, no? To ensure food safety, environmental protection, workers' welfare, and social acceptability. And because of this, PBGEA members have actually numerous certifications attesting to our belief in standardization. No? Among these are, of course, you have the ISO, you have HACCP, GlobalGAP, good manufacturing practices, fair trade, rainforest, and many others. On top of that, we are also very active in the World Banana Forum, where issues pertaining to standardization like living wage, harassment in the workplaces, and others are being discussed. Because we believe that more certifications, the more attractive your product will be to the markets. You know?
Exactly. And also, Santic, how do you think the government and the other stakeholders can further contribute in promoting good agricultural practices in the banana industry?
Well, I believe the government should put in more resources, especially in the standardization, because we all know that certification is not cheap, and most especially the small and the medium-sized growers who comprise the other 50% of the banana industry. Most of them cannot afford this kind of certification, and for that, I have been prodding the government to come up with a subsidy that will introduce GAP as well as global GAP to the small and medium-sized banana producers. No? And well, hopefully, if they do that, then more farmers and stakeholders will be able to implement this global GAP thing. Okay, because farmers and key stakeholders in the entire supply chain, I believe, must be properly informed and educated on the benefits of this certification.
Correct, correct. Thanks a lot for your contribution on that part. Mackie, I think we were discussing today a lot about the practical aspects in the banana cultivation in Philippines, as well as the technical part related to the GlobalGAP certification. So, if you are interested in getting certified for GlobalGAP, of course, you have to first undergo an inspection from an accredited certification body like Control Union. So that's where you have to go through this contracting process, and then, of course, there'll be the certification phase. So, under the contracting process, you have to first exchange the information that you have to do through an application form. So after you have to mention all your production activities, the number of if you are going to have a QMS or small farmer group, then all these details has to be indicated in that application form. So based on that application form, we do a review, and we decide like how many days it will take to cover the whole scope of the activities, and then there'll be an offer or a quotation. And once when there's the invoice and the payment has been made, then that particular prospect becomes a client where the contracting process will be completed. Then only the company can move into the certification process, which will initially include the auditing. So usually we used to do on-site auditing, but of course with the pandemic and as well as with the standard changes, GlobalGAP also has come up with these remote modules. So either on-site or through remote means, one has to complete the auditing, and then based on the audit findings, there will be audit report, and finally the certification decision is being taken by the certifier. Then only a certificate will be released. And this certificate is usually valid for 1 year period. So that means like every year, the certificate has to be renewed. And also if in case of a small farmer group, there will be additional surveillance inspection as well in the middle of the year. And after the certification, of course, there's this post-certification activities like things related to appeals or complaints, which we also have related procedures. And also there can be updates every time, as Kaushal was also saying, time to time the standard changes and the certification criteria also updates time to time.
Okay, so we hear about the requirements and also for the certification process. So So should you need further assistance or in-depth training or the detailed requirement of GlobalGAP, we can refer you to our Peterson Consultancy or the Peterson's Projects and Solutions. And also we have CU Academy for awareness, orientations, and trainings like this.
As I said in the beginning, like Control Union is also providing various different services. Like today, we were mostly focusing on GlobalGAP-like certification programs, but our support is throughout the supply chain, starting from the primary production to the processing, to the trading, maybe the distribution until the final end consumer. So it includes certification services, commodity inspections, collateral services, stock management, laboratory analysis, and sustainable services. So basically, as I said, like today, mostly we were focusing on one of the certification programs in GlobalGAP, but also like various different organic certification activities. These are like the most common certification marks you can see in the screen, like EU, NOP, and JAS. Also, Philippine National Organic Standard and various other sustainable agriculture standards certifications, Rainforest Alliance, FSA, RSPO, and textile certifications, ocean-bound plastic, also various different food safety related certifications like BRC, HACCP, FSSC, GMP, and social certification programs like Fair Trade and SMETA. Also other programs related to marine life like MSc and Friends of Seas, and forestry certifications and carbon footprinting, carbon neutralizations are a few of these certification marks that we offer here in Philippines. Also, we do various different inspection activities like preparation port and load port discharge inspections, loading compartment inspections, commodity inspections, pre-shipment inspections, and draft service, bunker service, warehouse inspections, stock monitoring, and weighing and quantity determinations. There can be various different commodities, like especially in Philippines, these commodities can be and are being inspected actually. So even as you can see at last, fruit and vegetables, also banana is being subjected to inspections, and Control Union is also providing that as a service. Also, different collateral services like stock monitoring and measurement, warehouse inspections, collateral management, and stock check verifications are also being provided. Laboratory services, that is also one key thing that Control Union is providing. We have ISO 17025 accredited laboratories of Control Union, and physical, chemical, and microbiological analysis are performed in these labs. Especially full pesticide screening for fruits, grains, and other commodities are done.
Okay, so if Kausalya missed to mention about the pesticide analysis, Sunara, pesticide analysis is a major must in GlobalGAP requirements. So aside for Control Union, aside from the GlobalGAP certifications, we can also cater their fruit samples for this pesticide analysis. So it's just like a one-stop shop for us.
Exactly. Also, Control Union has these sustainable services like sustainable reporting, sustainable finance, and sustainable supply chain solutions. To get to know more about these services, of course, you can contact us through these contact details as in the screen. Uh, and you can comment or put your questions in the comment box, and we will attend them individually and reply you through our Facebook page.
Okay. So we hope that this public forum has given you an idea or sort of help in case you have decided to start your organizations or your companies to engage in GlobalGAP certifications.
So let me thank Filipino Banana Growers and Exporters Association for their presence here, and of course for sharing their thoughts and the knowledge with us today, and also Kaushalya from Sri Lanka, our colleague of Control Union, for being here today and for sharing her knowledge with us.
So thank you very much, especially for our viewers for this recorded video.
So see you again in the next Control Union Philippine Academy Public Forum. Have a nice day. Bye.